In addition to being a modeler, I'm also a railroad photographer. And as I was out in the West photographing the Santa Fe Railroad, I fell in love with it and decided that had to be my model railroad. I decided to put this in the time era where all the Santa Fe war bonnets were running, just before the merger of the Santa Fe and the Burlington Northern. The model portion of the railroad starts in a small farming community of Argonia and then leads to a yard at Belen, New Mexico. Then it continues west through the New Mexico countryside up to this area here, which is supposed to represent the interchange with the Apache Railroad at Hereford, New Mexico. It's L girder benchwork with risers and plywood sub-road bed. I used Homosote for the road bed. I hand laid the track. At the time I was modeling or building this railroad, Code 83 wasn't widely available, so this is a Code 100 rail. This area right here, which is Hereford, it represents the Apache's facility, which is actually in Arizona, but I used modeler's license to move it into New Mexico so it could be on my railroad. They have pulp and wood that's brought in, chemicals, as well as coal for the power plant, and this facility produces cardboard and paper, which is then shipped out in boxcars. Having traveled in the Southwest, I knew I was going to build this railroad, so I collected a lot of materials from the desert in the Mojave and in New Mexico and Arizona, and I snuck those in my luggage back home in Ziploc bags. So I started with, actually this is soil from the Mojave Desert, mixed in with some ground foam, some static grass. Having visited Abo Canyon, I knew about these dry washes. So I decided I had to have one of those on the layout. And then the trees and the shrubbery are from commercial products. I built the cliffs using plaster of Paris, a couple inches thick, hand carved it, and then used acrylics to stain and wash the area to get the appropriate color. The town of Belen has a background which is some full structures. I have a track behind the main track, and there's not much room back there, so I did some low relief structures with both plastic kits and some printed materials. And then in one area I actually put together some N-scale structures to give a sense of distance from the front of the railroad. My interest in the Santa Fe really was spurred by the fast, heavy intermodals that they run. And so I have got a lot of intermodal cars, both trailers and containers. I also run a lot of grain cars because I have some grain facilities on the railroad. And I have a small petroleum refining area, so I also have some tank cars as well. I'll run mostly through trains with a local which switches to various industries, and I have the Apache which has trackage rights on the Santa Fe into the interchange area at Belen. Even though the railroad's probably about 95% completed, there's always a lot of detail work that can be added, and I've become interested in super detailing my freight car fleet using etched metal parts, grab irons, walkways, etc. And then weathering the models is also a bit of a challenge and a lot of fun.